It's Saturday night. Let's get ready to slam!
Welcome to the DreadBall All-stars Final.
Welcome everybody. Welcome along to another Wargamer Live AMA, the show where we bring in fantastic designers and creators and leaders and personalities in the tabletop games industry, and then put them at your mercy to answer your questions when you ask them anything about their games, ideally. Today we're welcoming excellent guests, two lovely guests. We've got, for his second Wargamer AMA appearance, Ronnie Renton, founder and CEO of Mantic Games. Hello, Ronnie.
Hello there, Alex.
Thanks for being here. And for the first time in the Wargamer Discord, we're delighted to welcome Alessio Cavatore, a bona fide Wargames legend. No offense, Ronnie. You are too.
Thank you very much. Too nice.
You are too. But I like to incite a bit of conflict between my guests to get some energy going. He's the co-designer of Mordheim and Bolt Action. He's worked on countless bits of Warhammer games over the years. And of course, more recently, he's designed Mantic's flagship fantasy game, Kings of War, a number of other brilliant things with Mantic. And most recently, of course, he's worked with Jervis Johnson on DreadBall All-stars, which is what we're here to talk about today. Ronnie's even got the pretty snazzy box in the background and the miniatures too. So, Alessio, Ronnie, welcome. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you. Thanks for having us, Alex. It's always a pleasure. It was great fun to get up and chat.
Lovely, lovely. Well, a couple of bits of housekeeping for you lovely people in the audience. If you haven't been here before, this is an AMA and Ask Me Anything. So we do want your questions to put to Alessio and to Ronnie. The way that works is you'll find a speech bubble in the top right of your screen in Discord. That will open the text chat. You want all of your questions in that text chat. And if they are civil and constructive and lovely, I will read them out and Alessio and Ronnie will answer them. If they're not, I won't, because this is my party. The second little bit of housekeeping to cover is that thanks to our friends at Mantic, we have a lovely giveaway to celebrate as part of this. We have 2 free Kickstarter pledges to the DreadBall All-stars campaign, which gets you that core game and the teams included, to give away. So we'll be doing that during the session. I'll be randomly choosing a couple of questioners to get a free copy. So if you want to win a copy, stick around, ask questions, stay to the end. And also get your friends in, get your granny in, get your dog in, invite everybody along. So that's about it. It's time to get started. We'll start asking some questions, and we do have some questions coming in the chat. So, to kick ourselves off, nice easy one. How does DreadBall All-stars compare to the original DreadBall? That's from Kai. So
I can take it in very high praise. I can take it from a game design point of view, from a gameplay point of view, and Ronnie can take it from a product point of view. I think it would be different. The main difference, of course, is that in DreadBall originally we were looking at teams made of different, would you say races, Ronnie? Different, like different. The different races that populated the Warpath universe. So there would be an Asterian team, a Vermin team, or teams. Human teams, but they were belonging to a particular culture in the Warpath universe. While this is the All-star game, so this is the one where the teams are not made of a particular race, but they actually are a mix of the star players. So the best players, of all sorts of different races, events, places, get selected into this very elite team of from across the Warpath galaxy, into this team of chosen players, and take part in this elite Uber tournament where they compete with stars. So it would be like in football, if you picked Messi, Ronaldo, and made a team of these guys and say this team is made of these top 5 guys, and they're playing these other top 5 guys.
It's almost World Cup or Indian Premier League or the Ryder Cup, depending on your sport. But it's we skimmed together the very best of the best that normally play against each other and with slightly tongue-in-cheek cynicism with the sponsorship from the corporations that sponsor that team. So the heavy industrial team wants the juggernauts that are big and strong, but the idea is they've taken the very best of the very best, and we've created a team that brings the Messi's and Ronaldos together to allow the gameplay experience to be slightly more sassy, slightly more convoluted. And dwarfs are always, the dwarfs, Forge Fathers as we call them, are always kind of short and fat. They hit quite hard, but they're a little bit slow. The elves, Asterians, are always super nimble and super quick, but a little bit of a glass hammer. If they get hit, they snap. So I think it's the games design element from Alessio and Jervis combining with the aesthetics of us allowing ourselves to pick from all of the ranges to bring a game experience together that is an awful lot of fun with a lot of nuance that you'll build up over time.
I do have a follow-up to I think actually Alessio is going to cover it already.
A little bit.
Go ahead.
Actually, when you are thinking of your own team, it's also very cool to think, I can combine some of these, the glass hammer with a really tough guy, the fast guy. So it allows you to do things that maybe before you didn't have. It is true that teams still have a character. So this team tends to be mostly big, tough guys, but they will have different players with different skills. So it's interesting, that almost like combo that you're trying to do with different type of player that maybe you couldn't do before, or extreme.
It's awesome. So I think I'm gonna save that follow up that I had for later, because I've got some more questions coming in the chat, and that's more important. Captain Ginger, which long time fan of the show, he's been on previous AMAs, love the name. Captain Ginger asks, what's your elevator pitch to sell players of other sports ball games on DBAS? This is very funny to me, because that seems like a very deliberate attempt not to mention the BB in the room, which we wouldn't have been able to avoid had Jervis Johnson been here. But let's cut the crap, right? One of the questions I wrote down was, why play this instead of Blood Bowl? So Captain Ginger says,
let's flip it. I'll let Alessio do the detailed answer on why, and from the rules point of view. But if I do it from the big point of view, it's not. I don't think it's an either-or game. DreadBall wasn't an either-or game, and I don't think DreadBall All-Stars is an either-or game. I think it. And almost this was my elevator pitch to Jervis when Alessio finally kind of got to the point of introducing us and realised, I wasn't going to be too crazy, and he didn't hate me. DreadBall is fantasy. Blood Bowl is fantasy. DreadBall is sci-fi. Blood Bowl is an American football gridiron, setting up positional play. DreadBall, the original game, and this one, they're very fluid. They're very fast. They're far more ice hockey, basketball, with the movements and the combinations and the way you string it off. I don't go, you go. It's go, ding, 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 ding. And when you kind of add all those things up in the entirety, it's an entirely different gameplay experience. It's 1 hour, not 3 hours. It's 5 players. You've got one each plus a coach plus some cards. Everything about it is almost, if that's 0, we're 10. If they're 10, we're 0. It's the end of the scale every time. And by design and by the elevator pitch to Jervis was like, come and make the game you never got to make. I think you've made the fantasy game, and in the olden days, Wargamer came out, then Wargamer 40k came out. There's the fantasy, there's the sci-fi. And it's like slightly strange to me that they never did a sci-fi sports game. For whatever reason, I know what the reason is, but I'm not sharing it here because it's from way back when. But it was like they were never going to do it, so I'm going to do it. And it's not like you've gone and got some no name to do it. You've got the guy that wrote the fantasy one to write the sci-fi one. Rick wrote Warhammer. Rick wrote 40k. Jervis wrote Blood Bowl. Jervis wrote DreadBall. But we gave him artistic license to write DreadBall All-Stars to make it his. So, the elevator pitch.
What's your take on that, Alessio?
Well, I mean, I think he's said it all in the sense that they are very different experiences. I like both. I like playing both, and they're so different. That is, aside from the setting being fantasy versus science fiction, the gameplay has nothing to do really. One is, I mean, if you make a comparison with war games, or bigger war games, one is very much in the style of Games Workshop. It's I go, you go. There's a big, I move my entire thing, and then you move your entire thing. So it has that more traditional take to that, and it represents a sport like American football. Indeed, something like with lines and scrimmage and all this kind of almost rank and flank feel to it. While for DreadBall, it is very much a more modern activation. But you can, there's card management and resources management, 5 players instead of 11. So it's fast. Like Ronnie was saying, it's like comparing American football with basketball. They are different things. Some people may prefer one or the other, or indeed both. You can play some of that and then some of that for variety. So a very different experience. It is a very different type of game. So why not then? Like both.
Well, there's your answer.
If you like sports games, if you like low model count sports games on a board, now you've got 2 flavors, and they couldn't be more different. If you like 200 figure, 400 figure tank games, well, we've got Epic, we've got Kingdom, all there's games out there, and some like that.
It's DreadBall today.
Correct, exactly. So I think if you're a sports game player, it's certainly worth a look. The rules are up. Go have a look. You'll either love it or hate it. I think you'll either go, no, actually, I don't like sports games. I like Blood Bowl. Or you'll go, actually, this is fantastic. This is great fun. And that's what happened the first time round with our first DreadBall. A lot of people fell in love with it, and they're still grumpy with us that this isn't DreadBall 3. This is DreadBall All-Stars. So, we're having to deal with that pain. At the moment.
Well, perhaps we'll have some questions about that today. A couple of things to pull out of that that are of note for our audience. Firstly, the full rulebook of DreadBall All-Stars is made available, as is via the Kickstarter for free for people to check out, as is actually a tabletop simulator mod for people to play as well to see if they want to back. So that's something you should check out if you're interested. The other part that might be questions on at some point during this is one of the biggest changes between All-Stars and the original DreadBall is that it's moved to alternating activation rather than I go, you go Warhammer style, which is quite an interesting part of that shift down to a smaller, more zoomed in scale. So I'm sure we'll get some questions about that. Speaking of questions, let's move on to something from Rich, who's clearly somebody who's on board with the Kickstarter and looking forward to what's coming out. Which MVPs from second edition will be in the legacy team that was announced as a stretch goal? Got them all out ready, lol.
So, that's part of the joy of the community, because we've actually, just rewinding a bit, we've got the Vault, Mantic Vault, which was where people who are Mantic fans can have a subscription, and every month we put a nice smattering of different STL files for them to go and download. And when we launched that, at the same time we were putting the Armada game, Kings of War Armada, up on the companion. So you could literally, and this is particularly good for people who live in places where we can't ship to, or shipping costs are expensive. They can have a companion subscription and a Vault subscription, and they could start building up a whole range of Armada fleets. We were looking for what the next game for this would be, and one of the ones that kept coming up was refreshing DreadBall. Going back in, and as we started talking about it, we went, well, it'd be cool, and then we could do the star player, and the whole thing started to spin out of control. And then when Alessio said, well, we might be able to get Jervis to write it, okay, let's go, we're doing it, let's make it what it is. But at the same time, some of the people that loved DreadBall feel slightly not left behind, but they wanted DreadBall 3. The problem for us was I didn't think that was in a position that new people were able to join it because they were very veteran players and how do we look after them. So what we've done is we've gone back. One of the reasons why we couldn't put this on the vault was half of the teams were sculpted still in green stuff. They were physically sculpted. That's how old that game is. So we only had about 5 or 6 of the teams that were digitally sculpted. And so what we've actually been able to do is go back to the ones we've got digitally sculpted, pick out their MVPs. We've gone to the both the people on the current Kickstarter and the old Ragnar DreadBall players and say, right, we're going to build you your own unique team. We've got the STLs. If you've got the model, you've already got the models. We'll give you the cards for it. You pick them. So currently they're all getting a vote of 3 votes each. But there's 15 models we've got that we think are either cool enough from the team or the MVP from originally. And they're all going up. And currently the people are voting. And that gives us our 8th team, which is 6 teams that will come to retail, 4 in the core box. You're going to get 4 teams in there, standard arena and the old Grubertech arena, which is a throwback to the old DreadBall. And then we've got a unique Kickstarter team that's going to be a Kickstarter exclusive. And we're going to give you the cards and several ways to access the old legacy players. And I'm working on names for the team. I think Renton Rejects is going to be the one that everyone's going to vote for. But again, the community is going to vote. Is it the Renton Rejects? Is it I think it's the coach that we didn't steal at all from Dodgeball that had a spanner in his first iteration. So we're just going to have a lot of fun with it. And I think that's one of the joys of this. It brings some of the old fun that we had with DreadBall originally back in, and hopefully bring some of those guys on board with us, able to play.
Well, there you go. There's a bit of detail on exactly how those All-Stars are being brought in. I think also some of what Ronnie just said is kind of an answer to Dr. Chad's question about having never played DreadBall before and without any knowledge of the lore, is this a good addition to start with? It seems very much as though this has been designed specifically so that people who want a sci-fi version of a sports game, sports war game, board game, have a place to start that would be more accessible than just doing a new edition of DreadBall. So sounds like that's what they're going for, Dr. Judd. But if you have further questions, bring them up. So let's pick up another one here. We've got Kevin. Is there going to be updates in the way of other play modes or specific tournament packs? That sounds like a Ronnie question to me.
Okay. There will be 4 arenas coming to the game. Yeah, very much. I always joke, but I've broken more games than most people have ever made. I've ruined them. I've seen their shelf life go. And as I've got older, I find it hard to believe because I'm still 12 in my head. I think I'm looking at how people want to spend their hobby time. And we all know we'll all spend a lot of time painting. Hence, the models are gorgeous. Otherwise, you could just play with card counters. The thing is, I kind of probably have a game group. And they might come together weekly or monthly or for a weekend. And one of the things that we designed along with the other play modes is also we're going to make that a tournament game system. So you can just play it as a one-off pick up and play, but instead of just using the normal event deck in a slightly different setting, you've got a different board. For example, Urban Rumble. So the base game is set up, it's the big Urban Rumble. There's obstacles, there's hidden weapons, total mayhem. These obstacles might blow up. You might pick up a weapon and whack one of your opponents with it. So that's what the event deck brings out. Your core rules are the same. The way your players play, but the battlefield you're on totally changes it. So me and Alessio and you, Alex, might have played 10 games each, and I played the same team and you played the same team. Stick those same teams in Urban Rumble, and it'll be a same mechanics, total different gameplay mode. Anarchy Arena, new rules, capture the flag, bomb mode. So we built one where the rules change.
I think, sorry if I can add, I mean, Jervis spent a lot of time and did, I think, a great job at making sure that people, because when you organize a tournament or a campaign, what normally happens is that it dies out because it lasts too long and people gravitate to the new exciting thing and you lose them. So this is designed to be relatively short and to have a legacy element to it. So it is that thing that you win the thing and you win the card and you keep the tournament and you keep the prize. And so you're building a story for your team, you're building some extra skills for your team, but it's all not huge and infinite and destined to die out. Has a start and an end, not too long. You don't play too many games, so it feels finished. You accomplish something, and maybe then go back to play normal games or play the next championship. So there was a lot of design into that, and I think Jervis did a great job.
A lot of experience that he brings to it. I think that that's what you do get when you work with someone that's been in the industry for a very, very long time. We're not going to call him an old man, but we will say there's some wisdom there, and the joy is that he's got a blank sheet of paper and said, how do you want to do it? And what we've seen, I've played 10 games. Now my team's really, really strong. You've played one. I'm always obviously a better player because I've played 10 games and my team is better. No matter what we do, I'm going to beat you. Well, actually, you can have won a tournament, you've got a card for it, and actually we're going to play against it. It doesn't really change things. So there's a whole heap. So yeah, and then finally you'd finish with Battle Royale, which is a 3 to 6 player multi-ball chaos. Pure carnage with everybody coming on. Each of these have a different pitch, it has a different play. So once you've got the core rules, once you've played through the 4 teams that come in the base pledge, you can then add more teams, you can add different arenas. There's 2 arenas in the next pledge. There is infinite amounts of play in here. There's tons and tons of fun. While still using the same rules. So you can just get up and play a week from now, a month from now, a year from now. You're still going to go, remember this, it's great fun, let's do that.
Kevin's already answered, saying this answered my question perfectly. So clearly there's a variety of modes that are going to do the job. Kodos, I want you to know that I have logged your question, which is, Alessio, have you convinced Ronnie to finance a Kings of War RPG yet? And we will be asking that question at an unspecified time later in the AMA. So Alessio, you've got some time to think about how you answer that one. Before that, though, let's go on to Robzilla01's question, because I think this is quite interesting. Would you consider making a mode in which coaches could draft their own team from players available so they could build their own team, a little like the drafting mechanic in Overdrive or Halo? Let's go to Alessio first. Ronnie's got an answer, but he can wait.
Yeah, no, I do.
Well, he has the real answer because obviously it's very much a product-related answer. But in terms of game design, we did look into stuff like that and points values and all of that, of course. But I think early on there was a decision of making it a bespoke teams, so that the choice was not that element of micromanagement of building, adding, subtracting was not what we were going for, at least in the initial offer. The initial launch, when we present a new thing and a new game, people have to learn a new game and it works in different ways. So we started like that. I think also Ronnie will say that that's the way Mantic did with Halo as well, isn't it? You start with, this is the thing, simple, approachable, learn the game, play the game, enjoy the game. And then if the game is successful and and the audience grows, then at some point, for sure, you would want to start to go, oh, by the way, and now you can do this. Pick your own team and stuff like that. Am I right, Ronnie? Is it good?
100%. I mean, you answered it perfectly. And what we're going to do is, if you're time poor, we've done it for you. And we've not done it poorly. Jervis spent hours and hours and thousands of hours, and Alessio spent a lot of time making characterful full teams. I hate to speak nice of any of our competition, but in fairness, Guild Ball, it was a relatively small Kickstarter and a monster retail, because I think it did this really well. It had some very thematic, fantasy-themed gangs that linked, and they had a play style. And that's what's in this box. We've got 7 of those, and they're done and written, and we're working on the 8th. There'll be 4 more at retail coming over the next 2 or 3 years. But Alessio and Jervis, and now the playtesters increasingly, have made the teams thematic and strong and fun. And the joy is, and I guarantee you, because I've done it myself, the first time you play, you're just working out what they're good at, and you've got this key skill. There's this one where you've got your key skill and what you're good at, and you're working out the mechanics. And then halfway through the game, you go, or at the end of the game or half the time, you go, oh, you know what would have been really good if I'd used that skill to do that to him. I know he was the thrower and I know he was the hitter. But actually, when the hit, when this was, and actually there's an awful lot of nuance and subtlety and clever stuff that's built in. But in some ways, I don't want those people min-maxing the crap out of that and going, his skill with his skill means you're not even going to touch the ball, buddy. And so the other joy is these are balanced games. So will we do it? Of course we will, because we can't stop ourselves, but it's a long way down the line.
There's an element that you made me realize is that being that I am a boring player, I see these kind of one-on-one games a bit like a chess game. I like chess, and so I like the baselines to be fixed. It's like, this is my team, that's your team, and often, like in the other game, I tend to play with the minimum amount of extra wacky do stuff. So I would probably play the normal game with a set team. You have your set team, and we play it, and we play it again, and we play it again, and we play it again. So I enjoy the kind of set, and then is your brain that makes the difference, is your moves that make the difference. So I am less of a fluffy player. So I would do that more chess-like thing, and obviously this presents it perfectly. Yeah, it starts as a chess-like thing, and then of course people that don't agree, people that prefer to make it more personal, to add more randomness, more chaos, more different elements that you can vary. Then I'm sure they will be given the tools to do that, because like Ronnie was saying, we can't help ourselves anyway.
I always wonder how much. So there are creative processes in other parts of the gaming industry that are games industry, I should say, not gambling. Games industry, especially video games, that are very just constrained by like pretty hard-nosed money decisions. And like this came up when in our last AMA, Ronnie, we were talking about Halo. It's pretty clear that like Mantic at least is a company where like you can just kind of lose control of your creative process. You want to, or like you want to make something so much that you just make it whatever. As that, like, there's a lot of these teams. I was surprised by how many teams are involved at launch. And is that just kind of Jervis really kind of just going ham, or is that you need that amount of variety of gameplay styles to make this work? If the teams are off the shelf, no customization allowed at launch, like
probably more from column B than column A, but a bit of both. We kind of, how many do you want to do, and where do you get them from? But I think there needs to be a feeling that there's enough, and I think 10 is. At 10, games can start getting clunky. You've got too much, and I think with DreadBall first time round, we ended up with too many teams and not enough flavour and colour. That's us getting carried away, and I think this time there's a bit of discipline. And I think just having 6 of the retail teams coming out at the launch, and then a Kickstarter exclusive, and then an MVP version, gives you just a real bit of flavour. There's the core stuff, and some slightly idiosyncratic stuff, space for some more. I think that because of the way we change the arenas, there is no end of endless play here. But the hobby investment, and including the money investment, is very, very small. And I think that's what people want to have. However, if I love it, as soon as I finish painting one team, give me another. 5 figures. You're talking about 5-figure paints. It is a very quick hobby project. A lot of fun, beautiful detail, but quick. So I think 6 plus a bit felt about the right number. without feeling overwhelming, nor too thin. Yeah.
It's good that you mention, well, the miniatures to begin with, but also just like you touched on the style and the look of this world, this game. Because there's an interesting question from Trapezoid. And Trapezoid asks, have you considered using a more mainstream theme or aesthetic to help reach a wider audience? And that sort of comes across. There's an implication there that the look of some of these characters is not mainstream. I don't disagree with that, actually. They're quite kind of cartoony. They're quite strange looking miniatures. Obviously much more detailed than some of the older ones. Like, they've got very dynamic sculpts. But I guess I'm offering you Trapezoid's question, but I'll add to that question with, what inspired the look of these characters?
I mean, I'll take this one and then let's get to the next one, because this is probably a little bit. So, two things. Steph Kapinski, and the artist, did the very first piece of Kings of War art for us. So again, this is kind of the revisiting of the putting the team back together. Did some sketching in here, and so what created us was we took what our Warpath universe looked like and what DreadBall looked like, because some of these characters are the same character, just redone, and then. I don't know, at the moment, I feel like elves and orcs and goblins and dwarfs kind of are mainstream. So we took those tropes, mixed them with they're a juggernaut, or, hey, they're in the painkiller team or the rider team or the Kraken's team. So we had a look for the Kraken team, the jets. It's probably better to see these on the go click the link to the Kickstarter, but they're all very fast. They've got a similar armor. They're painted up in a similar style. And so I thought this was kind of this mainstream, because you're combining a trope with a look, and it's thematic by the corporation. But Trapezoid, if you could give me an example of what you mean by more mainstream, as in,
I was thinking the same. I was thinking the same. Mainstream in the sense of American football, basketball, or mainstream in the sense of elves and dwarves and
Or is there an IP out there? Then please share that specification, because genuinely, we just went, hey Steph, these are the team thematics that Jervis has come up with, and the team here creatively came up with. These are heavily armored, these are lightly armored. Let's go and pick what that would mean in the sci-fi universe, and how sci-fi is the corporation, the juggernauts. Are a bit more rudimentary in terms of their armor. It's heavy. It's more American football through to some of the other teams that are far more esoteric. But it's a good question. Considered using it. Happily would use anything if we could get it to a bigger audience, and future teams could bring a schematic from somewhere. Yeah, knock us out.
In 5 minutes, I'm going to pick the first winner of our giveaway, right? So if you have questions in your head, or you've been following the discussion but haven't asked a question yet, get your question in now, because in 5 minutes, I'm going to close my eyes and I'm going to randomly select one of the people who's asked a question in the chat. They're going to win a copy of DreadBall All-Stars. So get your questions in right now. While that 5 minute timer is going, let's move on to your question from so we are now getting into some questions about how it plays into your possible new edition of DreadBall. So the question from hang on. What if a Pandera? Anything you can say about what All-Stars might mean for the future of quote unquote regular DreadBall? Is it reasonable to hope that All-Stars is also testing grounds for a third edition? And that links in with Kodos's question as well, just saying, maybe DreadBall 3, a possibility to update All-Stars from fixed teams to build your own. That's something that, Ron, you just said that's something you would like to do in the future.
I also really
Dreadball's a
want to
huge
bring
game.
Dreadball back.
Magic.
I think Dreadball was in stasis, and I really, really, really wanted to bring it back. And I thought this was the best way to do it. Cool new sculpts, 5-man teams, easy to get started, great for the recruiters. And I think still, interestingly, should we have called it Dreadballs? We just called it All-Stars. And then people would have known. Oh, I missed Dreadball. So dive in. We go, yeah, but because I love Dreadball, I absolutely love Dreadball, and now I love Dreadball All-Stars. But they are two separate games, set in the same universe, both sports games. But this being successful allows us to revisit everything Dreadball. As it was sat there kind of floundering, going nowhere at all. It was, in stasis.
So I think that kind of answers your question, Wittifer Pandera, in that you also said how dependent is a third edition of Dreadball on the success of All Stars. I think it's fair. I mean, Ronnie's going to nod or shake his head at this. I'm just going to say, from what he's just said, it seems relatively. Like, if the game was nowhere and the way to bring it back was creating this new version of it, their fates are going to be somewhat linked in future, I would imagine.
And we're already 425%, 450% funded. We needed 25 to bring this back. It's 4.5 times that. We've got it'll have a huge retail launch when it comes out, because that's when people pick up. We are coming to the hardcore here, and this is you can't start with a team. You start with 4 teams. Lots of arenas, Kickstarter exclusives, all manner of stuff. So it's a pretty big ask for people to jump in, just to help us with that huge tooling budget, like our Epic did.
Yeah, I mean, you can probably see a bright future for Pantera for Dreadball stuff happening, given, as Ronnie's just said, they've gone 400% of their Kickstarter target. So All Stars is coming with all this stuff. And if you want to see more Dreadball stuff, I've done this dance with Ronnie before. If you say, can we have this new thing? His answer is yes, buy the current thing. So
yeah.
Just there's something there as well. Some more questions coming out. We've got Robzilla01 says, once the Kickstarter has been delivered, how long to release all 10 teams into retail? I.e., what's the game's initial lifespan in stores? That's an interesting way of putting it. So yeah, how long are you looking at to bring those 4 other teams out in retail?
Quarterly. I mean, the charm is we've also got other arenas. So you've got the Kickstarter ones, but I in olden days I was a bit of a savage, really. With Walking Dead, because you'd kickstarted it. Right, here's wave 1. The Kickstarter rise. That's a nice design box there, and then retail came out. First wave, second wave, third wave, fourth wave. And one of the things that Halo Flashpoint has taught us is, walk a little slower, and it gives you an awful lot more time to build a much bigger audience. Before you get to the hardcore super, I've got this weapon with this, with that, with the thingies. How about we just teach the gay people a bit more of the game, and a few more people get a league under the way. Use the stuff you've got. We were delivering Epic out in November and December, and I'm now seeing in March people starting to play games, because it was a huge commitment to paint all those armies, and there were hundreds of figures each. And I think, this is a much easier hobby project. But even just working through the 6 teams with your club and 4 arenas, if you put the second level pledge, I think you've probably got about a year's worth of gameplay.
At least.
So yeah, let's get a team out. What the teams will allow us to do and what the arenas will allow us to do is to re-talk about where we are and what we're doing with it. It's another opportunity for people that have been hovering on the edge to come in and join. It's another opportunity for so Bonehead on Monday's doing a big review with the third and fourth teams. He's going to dive in there with an Ask Me Anything and a live play, because people want to see that. by giving ourselves just that bit more time, I think you do get more opportunity to recruit. And there's a question, someone saying, how do I get my Blood Bowl mates to come and play? Well, you show them the team, there's only 5 figures in it. You put 5 figures in front of someone who likes painting, they're going to paint them. By the time they've painted them, they're going to come and want to play it with you. But that's probably 6 weeks, isn't it? Here, buddy, I bought this for you. Happy Christmas. Now paint them. Oh, I painted those. They're quite nice. Right, we'll come over to my house. We'll have a game. 18 months, 2 years. Hitting something every 3 to 6 months between arenas and teams. And I think the answer to Rob's question is 2 years.
So there's your answer. There's a lot of teams in the Kickstarter. That's a lot of stuff. And the rest will be between 18 months and 2 years. So, right, it's been 5 minutes. I'm going to close my eyes now, and I'm going to scroll through all of these questioners and randomly choose one of you lovely people who's asked a question to win DreadBall All-stars. So here we go. No, that's Ronnie. Ronnie
Renton. Yes.
Ronnie cannot win a free copy of his own game. That's not allowed. Okay. We have our first winner, and it is Rich. Rich, congratulations. You're one of our 2 winners.
Well done, Rich.
After the AMA, I will get in touch with you and we'll sort out your prize. But don't lose hope, everyone else. There is one other copy up for grabs, which I will give out at the end. And thankfully, we've got some more questions coming in, so we'll start with one of those. Starting with, I like as a prize for you, Rich. I will ask your thing about Salute. For those visiting us from the United States or elsewhere, Salute is a UK-based tabletop games expo, quite popular one in London. Will you be demoing All Stars at Salute? Yes or no?
So actually, I think the answer is we are banging show season. Adepticon starts on Thursday, and Salute 11th of April. And we have tons and tons of Toy Soldier things going on. And I think at Salute and at Adepticon, we're demoing Kings of War, Epic, Warpath, and Halo, on account of those all being miniature games that you can then walk around and stand by. However, some very, very brilliant people down in Nottingham, where we get our some of our board games written by some of Alessio's ex-colleagues at Riverhorse, have taken over a small space in Nott and built an absolutely incredible gaming studio with about £30,000 worth of cameras and microphones and space and cupboards and everything else. We went down on Friday, and it's Robert, the honest wargamer, and is in their space. Truly stunning. So what we're going to do, so rather than limiting just a few people that can get a demo in, we're going to go over there. I think it's next week. No, it's the week after. It's the day before it, Tuesday before it all ends. And we're actually going to play the game with everybody. So everybody around the world can see us playing DreadBall All-Stars. So we're going to run a massive demo game of it for everybody. And then we'll record it at the same time. And we'll try and keep it fairly short and fairly punchy. So people, if they're hovering on the final 48 hours, if you need some more convincing that this is going to be happiness and joy in a box, we're hopefully going to give you that at the same time as trying out their cool new studio, because it's just around the corner. It's amazing, and we've got so many games we want to show off. So we are we're doing that. So the answer is probably not. If you're at the Mantic Night at Adepticon, they'll have some bits and they'll happily talk about it. But most of the cool stuff that you need is on the Kickstarter page, and there will be a live stream on Tuesday, the something of April, 4th issue of April.
Super duper. Right, a few little points from me here. Firstly, we're in the last quarter of an hour now, so I'm going to do 2 things. I'm going to make it slightly quick fire, and I'm going to start asking questions of Alessio rather than Ronnie. Second thing is, just to plug ourselves, wargamer.com. If you're interested in what's going on at Adepticon, we are at that show for the first time ever this year. My reporter, Wargamer Tim, is right there right now, and we'll be reporting live on all of the biggest stuff going on there. And there is some big stuff going on there, so keep your eyes on that. Now, back to Alessio and Ronnie and DreadBall All-Stars. Total Tyke asks, can the game be expanded to more than 10 planned teams, or is 10 a hard limit? From what Ronnie said a little bit earlier on, I think it's unlikely from what I've heard. But what do you think, Alessio?
Well, the real answer is it depends, isn't it? Because it depends how successful this initial offer is. If it's super successful, of course, Ronnie is going to go, oh, no, we'll have to make more. I'm guessing. I don't know. Again, this is more of a Ronnie question on the account B is about investing. Ronnie, what do you say?
Yeah, we'll go wherever people want to go. I mean, 10 feels like 10, 11, 12. I don't think it's 20. I don't think it's 28. And we're not going to get there tomorrow. We're going to build it up over time. This is a game where people will learn. You'll dip in. It's not a forever game in terms of if you're playing Kings of War, you're always playing with one army and painting the next one. Epic is the same. It's a big hobby commitment. It's always on your game painting table. These you'll start on the Friday and you'll be playing with them on Tuesday. So we can dip in, but what I don't want to do is overwhelm. We've got other ways of playing. Yeah,
brilliant. I've got a couple more, maybe Alessio-friendly questions here, in that they're a little bit crunchier. So, Cool Guy Clay asks, how would you describe the randomness of dice versus tactics of movement/skills? Obviously, bad things can happen. How swingy are the dice mechanics between frantic fun and crunchy tactics?
Well, we spent a lot of time balancing that. I mean, we spent so much time on playtesting. And by the way, every time you're playtesting something in the office, Ronnie, every time he walks past, he will look at you and go, playing games all day. Yeah, which is an in-joke that lasts since all the old times. But basically, there was a very for the audience, there was a very interesting debate whether the success should be on a 4+ or a 5+. And we tried a lot the game one way, then the other. And obviously, if you adjust that, then you have to adjust the number of dice. So adjusting the rate of success versus the number of dice and looking at all those diagrams of, all the statistical studies, but if we do this, then this effect, it's been a very interesting process. And working alongside Jervis has been great, again, because, we used to work together very closely on when we were both against Workshop, and being now able to work on that again has been great. I don't think there is one answer that is right or wrong. I guess it's a matter of taste. And some people prefer, shorter curve, less randomness, more control. Some people prefer a bit more control and a bit more wacky-do, side effects and chances for things to go wrong. So I guess it's down to you, the player, whether you like it one way or the other. We did put some things that help you mitigate against the randomness of it, which are your cards. Your DreadBall cards are managing those and knowing and choosing when to deploy the cards to give you that extra edge, or to reroll the dice to mitigate against the randomness is kind of the trick, the skill that you need to develop as a player, I think.
There we are. There's the balance between the two. And then the follow up here on the rules stuff. We have another question from Water for Pantera. What was the design process or thought process behind moving from fouls as specific plays or actions to the they say quite generic catch-all in comparison foul dice? What was the thinking behind that?
Well, another part of the process was definitely a sophistications versus complexity, and so there's always a conflict there. And I think my part in this design was a lot of the often trying to pare down a lot of the. So Jervis is very good at creating lots of ideas, lots of things, and I was trying to pare it down and try to go, this bit here, that bit there, let's not do this. So we had to make choices of how much detail to put in there. And the The foul mechanic, we decided that it was enough to give you that flavor of I am doing something a bit naughty, without making it a huge part of the game, without making it a huge, and leave that maybe to some specific teams to be better at, or some particular events, some particular. So a lot of that going against the rules is maybe captured more into the Mayhem arena, into the Anarchy arena. So the base game is more subtle. The expansions make it less subtle and more, violent, if you want.
There we go. Okay, let's start rustling through the last, because I'm not going to get through all these questions. There's been some really, really good ones. So a quick one. I'm going to ask for a quick yes or no on this from
Sure.
Ronnie. The TTS mod has been great for testing. Will the TTS mod add the other modes teams?
Teams, probably yes, certainly through some of the development, just to balance those up. I can definitely see that being a part of the launch plan. Mods, possibly, the arenas, possibly. You're building a whole new game at that point, and it's been done by a fan who came to the playtest day. We've had 3 playtest days. I can certainly see some of them in here who came along, and they've got a great take, and they were all DreadBall players. So it's also what they're up for at this point. So yeah, well, as long as they're willing, we're pretty good to share it, and we think it's great fun and a good way of people trying it out. Try before you buy.
Superb. I think that's pretty great, personally. I think this is a very silly question, but I really like it. And you clearly do too, Ronnie. From CJC, have you considered a Halo team for All-Stars in a similar way to the Red Planet team of old? I mean, if you got the Halo minis.
Have we considered it? Of course we have. Tactics are a bit more relaxed with us, and we're just giving them, they're not mad keen on crowdfunding, Microsoft being the second biggest company in the world and all that. So have we considered it? Of course. Can we do it? Not yet. Could we use these mechanics? And there is a game in Halo. I forget the name of it now. It just escapes me. But there is a kind of sports ball game. You never know. That could just be a slight reskin and a smaller complete package. And then if those stats happen to have cards that are entirely compatible, how fantastic would that be? But not right now. Definitely not right now. But yeah, never know.
I think you've made CJC quite excited. So they objective complete. Rasseltane asks, how important do you consider the tournament and league scenes to the success of the game? That's not an irrelevant question when it comes to like a sort of perfect information kind of carefully balanced board game like this. What do you think, Alessio?
Well, the core system, the core game, I wouldn't go into the expansions, is certainly quite well balanced, I think. The expansions, obviously, I don't know how suitable those would be for an event. They're definitely suitable for a campaign weekend where we play this as a campaign, we have lots of fun. But in terms of competitive play, if that was really the question, I would personally stick more to the core game for the competitive scene, for the tournament scene.
There we go. There's a little bit of an advice on that. Another question from Kodos. This might sound silly on the surface of things, but this is a really important question, I think, for quite a lot of people who maybe don't have the time or the inclination to do painting on miniatures. Is different coloured play like renowned wargame designer Alessio Cavatore apparently is different coloured plastic for the teams an option, or is the grey for all locked in already?
I've already copied and pasted that question and sent it over to Ross, our Kickstarter manager, saying, if the community wants it, we're happy to do it. The charm is the detail shows off better with grey. The figure itself looks kind of cooler, and people are more used to seeing it. But there is a convenience factor about I'm the red team and you're the blue team. When we did Spartans, you had exactly the same 4 figures. So it needed to be red and blue team in order to differentiate them. With this, it's pretty hard to mistake the figure that you have. He is massive. You can tell which one's the Juggernaut and which one's the Jet, So
let's be playing a mirror match, I suppose.
Yeah, correct. So the compelling need is not there, but genuinely, it's the same difference to us if overwhelming. So Ross will come out and ask that question on socials, and the backers and whatever they want. That's what we'll do.
Also,
Nice
as a person that indeed doesn't particularly enjoy painting, I think a nice can of spray red one team and blue the other team also works.
This is a fair point. This is a fair point. However, it is a good question because manufacturers of all kinds have been paying more attention, I think, to providing like ways to do pre-painted or pre-colored miniatures nicely in recent years. I've noticed this, and I love painting miniatures. It's not a big deal for me, but it is a big deal for quite a lot of people. So I think it's quite important. Good. Wood for Pandera has very correctly corrected my slip of the tongue there. DreadBall is not a perfect information game. You have secret cards. What I meant is a balanced kind of competitive game in the way that these kind of hex-based board games are. Right. We've got just a few minutes left. Atras's question has already been answered, so I think we can move on from that. Ball is magnetic, sticks to floor. Brilliant. CJC has just come back on my random point about mirror matches. How do mirror matchups go? Have the teams been play tested against themselves, Alessio?
That is a very good question. I don't remember doing that. But I may not remember because we played so many games that I generally don't remember. But we played so many that I don't remember if one of those was literally. But there wasn't an intentional let's play them all against each other all the time. No. That wasn't deliberately done. It might have happened. I think it must have happened because also we had a certain number of teams available physically for people to play test. And when we moved people around, they would have ended up playing with the same team against each other. When we did those events, you remember, Ronnie, when we had 10 secret play testers.
Sure there have been a few mirrors on the playtest days. I don't think we ever did it.
It has happened, but we haven't done it as a deliberate policy. Yes, which maybe we should, indeed.
Well, as Woodford says, they are impossible unless you have an extra copy of the game. But that could start to happen if you get a scene for the game once it's launched and people have their favorite teams and they want to mix and match and play different games. Like a healthy game will end up with mirror matches sometimes, unless you are artificially making them not happen, which would be unpopular. So it's a good question. It's a good thing to have brought up for the Mantic guys. Take a look at. Russell Tane, thank you for reminding me. I wasn't avoiding this question. I think it is an important question. There have been several questions throughout the session about the choice to make the Slammers team a Kickstarter exclusive, and whether they'll be made available at retail ever. And if not, why have you made that decision? It's not a universally popular thing to make Kickstarter exclusives. This feels like a Ronnie question. Will the Slammer sculpts be available at retail at any point? And if not, why not?
Because we wanted to give the early backers something that they could enjoy. And the only way we could do it was we couldn't give you miniatures within a team. Normally we give you alternative sculpts or we give you some other things. So sometimes you just have to go, we don't normally do it. We've not done it in that way. But you've had MVPs that came out in the previous Kickstarters that never came to retail. And maybe they'll come in alternative sculpts through our 3D print option or something like that. So they'll, I think probably they in that form will never come. If you want them now and you want them at that price, pick them up. They were always available, don't forget, through Mantic Points. Every Kickstarter exclusive is always a Mantic Point model. There. I suspect what we'd end up doing, we're at the stage where it's gone bananas. We'd change the sculpts and we'd make them available through our resin and print on demand and STL facility, so that if you've got the cool one from the Kickstarter, you've got them. But if people want the gameplay experience and there's enough people that want us to do it, then we'll make it available so that you don't lose your cool factor of the team you've got, but other people can play that team. As it happens, there'll be 4 more teams rolling out, so there's going to be plenty of choice before that becomes an irritant.
Nice one. Well, we've come to the end of the time that we've got, but I did promise that we would deal with the real elephant in the room here.
Did you see that Rich has given his pledge back before you do the second giveaway?
I did. So I think what we will do is we'll do what we've done with other giveaways in the past, which is we will announce the winners on the Discord server tomorrow. I will choose them tomorrow from all of the questioners from today, and we will announce them in full fanfare on the Wargamer Discord. And I will contact both of the winners to get them in touch with Mantic to get their prizes.
Very proud of you, Rich. Very generous.
But also, let's give Rich a little round of applause. For
being
a good gamer.
Thank you for being a backer. We love you. Thank you so much. You're very nice man. I'm giving back and get the best game in the universe.
Before we have to say goodbye, I promised Kodos that we would deal with the elephant in the room, and that is Alessio. Have you convinced Ronnie to let you make a Kings of War RPG yet?
Well, I could tell you, but then I'll have to kill every single person on this list, so I'm afraid not.
He's got me to do another RPG that's very close to his heart.
Oh yes. See, I suppose a lot of the energy there would be to do a good take of the Ghost in the Shell RPG before we do other RPGs. Yes, let's not talk about other RPGs. Let's talk about the Ghost in the Shell RPG.
Yeah, so Alessio, when Mantic and merged with Alessio's guys, with Riverhawk, we kind of took on their assets and took on the burden that is working with Alessio. One of the things he brought with him was the Ghost in the Shell RPG license, which is based on the original IP. Absolutely stunning. If you're at Adepticon or on our website this weekend, a miniature is available for the first time. We've just got a single exclusive sculpt to announce that game that's coming. It looks absolutely gorgeous. So we've got to get that one out of the way before we go to Kings of War. And I think the other thing is Kings of War 4th edition just came out, and we've got 4 books kind of already announced and planned, which are going to build the world, but from the war game side of view. But I think at the end of 2027 or 2028, the world and how the societies are put together and who the Basileans are and who the Zikali are and all of that stuff is going to be a real living world. Champion is a big recruitment drive at the moment. People are just kind of signing up for a slow grow. So there's a lot of good fantasy RPGs out there at the moment. I don't think we're able to compete. I don't think there's a lot of great rank and flank fantasy battle games out there. I think we can compete. Better compete. I think we've got the best one. I'll put my game up against anyone else's, and I think you'll have more fun playing mine. So we're going to build the world out from armies first, and
for the benefit of the audience, every time I've interviewed Ronnie in any context whatsoever, at some point he kind of says something like, "I'll fight you. My game will fight your game, and my game will win."
Right.
I can't let you go without asking this question from Cap and Ginger. It's just too good. And this is for Alessio. I'm not letting Ronnie say a word here. Alessio, Kings of Wardheim when?
I didn't. Sorry, Kings of what?
Kings of Wardheim when?
Kings of Wardheim. Well, after the Ghost in the Shell RPG. Did we mention the Ghost in the Shell RPG? Because I thought I wasn't allowed to talk about the Ghost in the Shell RPG. So then Ronnie talks about it. So I feel like I want to talk about the Ghost in the Shell RPG now. It's truly a work of passion for me. I'm obsessing about it and running about it. So yeah, but let's stop talking about it for now.
Well, it's a high energy and delightful way to end the show. Alessio, Ronnie, it's been a huge pleasure. Ronnie, as always, Alessio, for the first time, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us and answering all these questions. Everyone in the audience, thank you so much for joining us and making this what it can be with all of your brilliant questions. Like I say, the 2 winners of the giveaway, neither of which will be Rich, thank you, Rich, will be announced in the Discord tomorrow. Thank you, everyone, for your brilliant questions. We will be back again soon with another AMA, no doubt. But before that, as I said earlier on, Adepticon kicks off tomorrow. We will have live coverage every day from our reporter in the field on all of the biggest games. And please stick with Wargamer for that. Otherwise, thank you everyone once again, and thank you Alessio and Ronnie for your time today. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
Everybody, thank you.
Cheers everybody. See you again soon.